I think where this rant is ending up is on this particular insight. Your relationship with yourself is probably the most important relationship in your life. It seems obvious, but like really think about that. Like your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you have. Why is that? Doesn't that sound a little selfish? Doesn't that sound a little egotistical? That you're just the greatest person in the world and no one else matters? That's what I used to think. But what I've noticed is that my relationship with myself doesn't just affect me. My relationship with myself is, I see it in my relationships with others and in my relationship with life at large. And maybe that's just a me thing. Maybe it's just because I am more introverted than extroverted. Perhaps this is just for you introverts out there. I don't know. But for me, anyway, if I'm really struggling having a healthy, balanced relationship with myself, which requires me to understand myself and listen to myself and care for myself. And so if that's struggling, then my ability to have healthy, balanced relationships with my family and my friends and my colleagues and the world at large severely suffers. It's strongly correlated for me. I'll just give you an example. So let's say that one day I'm really struggling with feeling out of control and or overwhelmed. Instead of addressing the areas that need to be addressed to help relieve some of that, maybe I avoid the dishes. I avoid the laundry. I avoid the chores. I avoid, and it all piles up until it's just this massive pile that I don't want to look at. I don't want to deal with. I'm getting frustrated, and I'm mad at myself for not dealing with it in a healthy way. So I'm angry at myself, frustrated at myself. Then imagine my kid is, being a kid is hard. Can't imagine how often you feel overwhelmed and out of control, as a child. And so my kid's over there dealing with that, and maybe me and him are just having a hard time. We're having an argument. We're not seeing eye to eye. Uh, I could respond to that situation in many different ways, but I will typically respond to that situation in a similar way to how I'm responding to myself, right? So if I'm responding to myself, feeling those feelings, and I'm angry at myself, and I'm lashing out at myself, and I'm irritated at myself, and I don't have any patience or compassion or understanding for myself, am I gonna have any of that for my kid in that moment? No. Like, all I'm gonna have for him is what I'm giving myself, which is anger, frustration, a lack of patience, a lack of compassion, a lack of understanding. And that's not how I want to show up as a father for him or her eventually. Me and the baby don't get into too many fights right now, but I'm sure later we will. Um, but yeah, so like you see how my relationship with myself is totally reflected in my relationship with my child. And it could be with my partner, it could be with anyone or anything, even just circumstances in general. I've been noticing that popping up in my life like everywhere. I can look at my outside circumstances or how I'm reacting and interacting with other people, and it's like an external vision of what's going on inside me with how I'm feeling towards myself. It pops up in my job all the time. It pops up in family all the time. Instead of running around trying to just like externally fix everything, change the people that are around me, change my circumstances, get a different job, all these different things that I can do externally to try and fix what's going on. And I'm realizing that that's just it's not going to solve it. That I have to look inside and think, okay, what's going on inside of me? How is my relationship with myself actually being reflected in all of this? And that leads to introspection, and that leads to insight, and that leads to self understanding. And the more I understand myself, the more room I have for self compassion and patience and love. If you think that you are going to be able to love any of the people in your life the way that you really want to love them, you have to love yourself. You have to. How do you expect to give something that you don't have? How can you expect to show someone compassion and love if you can't even give it to yourself? It's all going to be fake. It's all going to be an act. It's all going to be this projection that you wish that you were, that you wish people would see you as. But until you actually start feeling that way about yourself, and it's hard. Oh my gosh, is it hard? Especially when you've spent your whole teen years self-depreciating and not working on positive self-talk and, you know, like, it's hard. But if you care about your own growth, if you care about, like, these Christ-like traits that I really do care about still, even though I don't consider myself Christian, I might as well be because those are my values, like selflessness and love, and so I've had to really grow a lot in learning that taking care of yourself and loving yourself and having boundaries and knowing your limits and giving yourself compassion and patience is super important. Not just to help you feel better, but like that affects other people too. It affects everyone in your life. The more that you love yourself, the more you'll be able to love others. And the more open you'll be to receiving love from others as well. I think I may have beat a dead horse on this one, but I'm so passionate about it. I wish I could express how important I feel that this is and how much I wish that I could just infuse everyone that I see with this, you know. But it's a journey that we all have to take, and we all have a past that we have to look at and heal from and learn from, and we all have this tendency, I think, to put on this facade and be perceived a certain way, but that takes so much work and you have no control over it. You have no control over how people perceive you. Okay? So, this is just my public announcement that you are totally worthy of love. You deserve love. You deserve patience. You're human. You deserve compassion. You're human. We all are. It doesn't mean that you have to be stuck the way that you are forever. You're going to keep growing and progressing and learning and all that. But all along the way, you can't give yourself enough love. None of us are going to be perfect. None of us are going to live up to all the expectations of the world and that other people have of us. Never, ever, ever. So try and take a step back from all that and focus on your relationship with you. And is it healthy? Is it balanced? Are you taking too much, giving too much? You know, look at it, feel into it. I just hope that you really hear what I'm saying and that you take it in. You are worthy of self love.